On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will celebrate the end of Andor Season 2 by going deep and hard on its finale arc. How was it seeing K2 and Cassian bond? Which of the main characters died? What moments stood out and which added cool lore? Did the season and its lead-in to Rogue One pay off? Was it too quick or just right? All of this kind of talk and more in E356 of the Star Wars Time Show. And of course, they'll end with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody who just watched that fantastic finale. Star Wars is back. Not that it's ever gone anywhere for us. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. Thank you. I know my singing skills are unparalleled. It's good to see everyone on this post-Andor Season 2 finale Star Wars Time Show live stream. Yeah! As always, throughout this airing of Andor, it was nice getting in the Star Wars Time Show Discord last night and interacting with our fans. It was an active channel last night, young Nick. I think Michael Kramer finally learned his lesson and did not go into a channel. Clearly marked spoiler talk before he saw the content, so...
There you go, Mike. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's just like listen, we'll get there. I mean, you know, our main segment today is obviously going to take in that finale deep and diving headfirst into it. But holy hell, was it fun to kind of sit around last night watching it live, just celebrating the moments with other fans and just talking about how damn perfect Andor Season 2 kind of ended up. I mean, if you rewind back a few weeks to when Nick and I did our pre-show for Andor, we were some fucking Eeyores around here. We were Debbie Downers, kind of lamenting the fact that this show was going to suck up so much of our time as content creators over the next month. And I know, at least me personally, going into the first set of 3 episodes, I was hunkering down for some pain. Not because I thought Andor was going to suck. I knew it was going to be pretty top-notch. I wasn't really looking forward to covering 3+ hours of Star Wars every week, essentially burning my Tuesday night and literally all day of Wednesdays. But here we are. It's over. It's fantastic. I can say without hesitation that what we witnessed over these past 4 weeks, including last night's finale arc, is some of the greatest, if not the best, live-action, science fiction, drama-based TV any of us has ever tuned into. Star Wars or not. I mean, let's be real. It's not like Andor was very high on Star Wars' fantastical side. So, I mean, the show was as sci-fi drama-ridden as it gets. And I don't know. We'll see what Nick has to say a little bit down the road. But I don't know how you could have done that finale any better. It was perfect. We've got pretty much closure on everything Andor and all sorts of new lore and setup for Rogue One and A New Hope. So as a lifelong fan, a child of the OT, couldn't ask for anything more. That's why I broke out, Nick, the I Love Star Wars custom t-shirt today. Because I fucking love Star Wars, especially after consuming something like what Lord Gilroy and team just dumped on us. So... it was a nice surprise, right, Nick? Don't you feel a little kind of like, you know what? As down as we were looking up at the Andor Season 2 mountain, that slog, aren't you kind of like, damn, it was a lot to take in, but damn, that was worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fantastic show. I obviously, I did not watch all 3 episodes back to back for any of the trios. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know what viewership numbers look like. They haven't released
probably
any statistics
shit.
Or anything
probably
like
shit.
That, but
ratings are up.
Yeah,
critics loved it. Fans loved it.
Yeah. So yes, similar story to season one, where it's like a critical darling. But I mean, we'll see what the viewership numbers look like. But yeah, I mean, I think that the show itself, outside of whatever the viewership happens to be, was fantastic. It was great. I enjoyed it all the way through. If I had to rank the trios, I would probably do three, four, one, two as my ranking of the releases.
What he means
And
there
yeah,
for you slow people out there, he's saying the third arc, then the fourth arc, then the second
yeah,
arc, then the first arc.
exactly. There we go. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought that the storytelling was really strong. I think that the use of the characters was done super well. And I think it really does do a great job of like giving us a more gritty perspective on the rebellion leading up to what we see in A New Hope and Rogue One and stuff like that, that we, got like a bit of a sanitized version of through Rebels. And obviously that's a kids show, so you're not going to get a ton of, violence, and you're not going to get that like drama tension that you get in a show like Andor. So yeah, I think it was a
Yeah, I
fantastic
mean, we,
fantastic
we we've got
go
some
at
good
it.
questions in our Ask Us Anything that may
Mhm.
provide some more insights into how we feel about Andor or shows to come that could potentially match Andor. But real quickly, since we are hoe bags for money, be mad throwing that fiver out there, letting everyone know that Dedra got what she deserved. 100%. I can't wait to talk about her, but there's just something beautifully ironic that someone that loved control and being in control is now totally controlled herself in making parts for the Death Star. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, and we will get there. I promise you. We'll talk for Andor the finale for at least an hour or more. It's coming up. Don't worry. We are going to go balls deep, as they say in the content creation community. Which is it's just, I mean, so great on so many levels. And let's be real. Who fucking nailed the ending again? I know I said it might be an epilogue, but it was the last scene. I mean, who fucking called it to a T? Where is the recognition? Are you not entertained? Right, Nick? I know you're like, I was just kind of throwing it out there because I could kind of see, yeah, you know.
Oh, the kid thing?
Yeah, the show ended
Yeah.
with Bix looking at their horizon with their son. I mean, that's pretty much what I said. I mean, I almost verbatim.
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe, you know, she'll be hearing about the Death Star and go out and reflect. We can't say that for sure, but she literally did pretty much 95% of what I was talking about. Tate, what is happening is you just stumbled into one of the dumbest Star Wars live streams on the planet, so welcome. All right, thank you, Bat. Thank you. Yeah, if you're new here, I need praise. I need recognition. So we appreciate that type of stuff. It's good to see you in here, Bat. It's been a while since we've seen you in live stream. All right, Nick. So like I said, we've got our deep dive of the Andor season 2 finale arc planned for a few segments down the road. But as we like to do when we kick off the show, is we want to know what the fans want to know about us. So it's time for Ask Us Anything. Let's see what they had to say about, or what they wanted to know about your Star Wars Time Show host, life. You never know. We do not put any guardrails on Question of the Week, which sometimes is probably dangerous. But welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. All right, here we go. Let's get some screens flipped up here. We've got our first question coming in from Sentimental Scoundrel over on Instagram. If you want to get involved in the Ask Us Anything, or down the road in the fan segment Question of the Week, you just got to make sure you're following us on our socials. That could be Twitter, YouTube. Get in our Discord. We got the open link in this video's description. Of course, Instagram and that pile of shit platform. TikTok, we're out there. Just follow, look for the prompts. Anyway, Sentimental is wanting to know, after Andor, what are you guys looking forward to? It doesn't have to be Star Wars related, young Nick.
Yeah, I mean, not much. I don't know TV release schedules anymore.
Thanks,
Like
Red
what
Dog.
shows are coming out. I'll tell you this. We are watching the rehearsal on HBO Max, which has just been renamed to HBO Max.
Really? It's gone from Max back, but they wanted the HBO branding back.
Yeah, because they realized that the reason that people knew what it was is because the name HBO means a lot. Anyway, we're
Well, wasn't
watching
that
that.
obvious, Nick? I mean, come on,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, that
Jesus.
was a mistake
Why
from the
are we doing
beginning.
this dumb shit and not running companies?
You know, that's a good question. But we're watching
We're
that.
idiots.
That's a fun show. If you know of Nathan Fielder, if you've seen Nathan For You, or if you've seen season 1 of The Rehearsal, season 2's out now. I think it's 2 or 3 episodes in. It's always just a mind fuck to watch that because it's just such a weird type of show. So really good there. We're also watching Hacks on HBO Max.
I've heard that's good.
Hacks is fantastic. It's super funny. Um, like a good look inside of the like industry, like comedy show, writing and production type of industry. So I would definitely recommend that as well. And then yeah, I mean, if you want to watch a YouTube series, I just started watching a YouTube series by a zoologist named Lindsay Nicole,
This
and
guy.
her series is called The History of the World as We Know It, or That We Know Of. And basically what she does is she goes over every period in Earth's development, starting with the Cambrian period all the way, and goes all the way up to the current period of time where we're at now. And I just finished watching the Triassic period video. So if you want something that's like historical, and if you like,
This guy's continuing
prehistory stuff
education
like
over
that,
here.
so
That's not
yeah.
entertainment, Nick. You are learning, my son.
It's entertaining and it is also very educational. So that's what I'm looking
All right.
forward to, though. I mean, Rings of Power season 3, when it comes out, maybe next year, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't have any Star Wars really to look forward to until the end of October when Vision season 3 dumps in full. So there's that. Obviously, always looking forward to new Star Wars. But I would just say probably the summer of film. I'm a big movie guy, love going to the theater. It has picked up a bit in past months. There are some blockbusters slated for this summer, with probably James Gunn being the biggest that I'm interested in. We all know around here, young Nick does not. He fucking hates Superman, thinks he's OP, and James Gunn is overrated. True. But I still am looking forward to checking that out. In terms of what I'm currently watching now, I just got through the latest season of Black Mirror. I always enjoy those. Those are always fun. I know I'm a little late to the party. And I'm also super late on getting into The White Lotus. Wife and I just started season 1, and I think that is a very well-written show. So, that's what I'm looking into. And hopefully my golf game improving over the summer so I can quit letting it ruin my life, because the inconsistency is becoming too big of a mental fuck for me. So I would love to get that stuff kind of checked out. Bango, you totally need to watch Peacemaker. You do. Like that is one of the best just random DC characters. I didn't really like Peacemaker in James Gunn's Suicide Squad that Cena played, but once he got his standalone series, absolutely brilliant. And the fact that they have a scene almost dedicated to Howard Stern Easter eggs just reinforces how great it is. Still riding the one wheel. I actually have not taken it out. I've only taken it out once this season. I need to fill up the tire, but yeah, I might get on that bad boy. All right, so thank you there, sentimental scoundrel. Joe Babyface. Can they replicate this type of Andor storytelling, and for which story arc can it be done next? I know the right answer, Nick, so what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, can they replicate it? No. Well, should they do it again? No. Because I think that this is like, if you try to replicate it, it's just not going to be the same. And really, the reason that it worked as well as it did is because you had a writer that was continuing with a character that he had already written before. And it is it's a very stylistic type of show that fits right into Tony's wheelhouse. I don't think that they should try to replicate it. I think if they want to try to convince him to come back to write a different show, then they should do that. But you can't have like Simon Kinberg or somebody like another Star Wars writer try to like mimic that style of storytelling. I think that would just be like a like it would feel like a knockoff. So like just go an original story route.
Yeah, man. I listen. We've literally created an entire legend around the man of Tony Gilroy ever since Andor season 1, and really probably since we heard his interviews about the spot work he did on Rogue One. He has captured our fancy. We have been talking about this unicorn for years in a way that has propped him up on a pedestal, sometimes tongue in cheek. Maybe to start, we were actually criticizing the man by making fun of him and placing the title of Lord in front of his name. But at this point in time, he has earned it. He truly is Lord Tony Gilroy. The guy's proven he's allowed to kind of have some of that arrogance we've seen in the interviews. I don't give a shit. I'm all about it now. Like the guy is a genius, and he is that unicorn. So JoJo, it is not happening again unless Tony is convinced to come back, because Nick really hit the head on the nail on the head, as they like to say when you actually remember the saying. You gotta remember, Tony had zero Star Wars knowledge coming into these projects, which allowed him to not get over encumbered by, I got to do fan service, or I got to respect this, I got to respect that, I got to use this character, that character. He just came in knowing, I got to write a good fucking story and stay within certain guardrails. So it allowed him to do him, to write, and write the way he knows how to write. And it's clearly a very sound writing style. He's very good at creating narratives. He's very good at creating characters and giving them life and meat on the bone. They're not just hollow. So I really don't. I mean, unless they can convince him to come back, I think Tony is the only one that can kind of spin up these types of Star Wars at this point in time, because most of the other creators are fanboys or girls in some sense of that word. And that's never going to allow them to be as objective as Tony truly was, which created the narratives that we all are essentially popping Chubbs over. All right. Thank you there, JoJo, baby. We'll get one here from Red Dog. We sometimes do live questions. Just interested to know, what was your favorite standout line from Andor season 1 or season 2? Well, quickly, it's more than one line. Well, I should say it just to piss Nick off, but one way out. No, just kidding. Even though I love Kino Loin, the one way out moment, it clearly it's become a joke over here because Nick hates it so much. But I would say more than one line. I would say a full-on monologue. I still think Luthen's season 1 monologue is probably the best writing and character delivering that writing in all of Star Wars. Although I'll argue his shortened quote today to Dedra about how the rebellion has flown away was a choice quote as well. How about you, Nick? Anything stand out in terms of quotes or lines from either season?
I mean, the Luthen speech in season 1 is probably the one that stands out the most. Individual lines, I mean, like, "We are Gore, the galaxy is watching" is probably the one that has the most impact.
You like the chant?
It was just one of those things where it's like,
did you memorize their national anthem too?
No. No. It's one of those things where it's like you hear them chanting it and you know what's coming, and it's like, oh geez, yeah, the galaxy's definitely watching. Yeah, I mean, I think that was pretty impactful, like the season 3 or the season 2 Gorman Massacre arc, when that was all going down, pretty good.
Bango, turn off the lights. Yeah, that was a good one. Yep, I remember that.
I want to say this real quick, because I believe it was either BMAD or Bango, one of them was like, "If Dedra doesn't really love Cyril, then I don't know what real love is." Guess what, bro? She didn't give a fuck.
She loved him.
She cared that she had somebody to control, because that is what she cares about. Control. And when he was gone, what did she do? Went back to work and didn't give a fuck about him.
She actually went off the rails, as we learned. It looks like she was in other people's sectors, business. She's fucking stealing intel from Krennic. I mean, she was completely broken by that Gorman shit and her pursuit of Luthen.
She was ready to get back on. She was ready to get back on Axis for sure. She was like, all right, this Gorman shit's over. Let me do the thing that I've been trying to do this whole time. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff there, JoJo. Next one coming from EKU Rory. Did those little guys from Mando reassemble K2? Hey, buddy, I know you watched the show. Did you see any Inzalins on Yavin? Okay?
Nope.
Quit being
Nope.
silly. This is a serious live stream, okay? No fucking around on a Star Wars time show. So enough of that bullshit.
All
right.
There we go.
No, it was some crazy gooned out mechanic on Yavin. You know, you never know who shows up
somebody.
on Yavin. He could be Huff and Rido for all we know.
Could be.
All right, Cyan XTC, getting away from Star Wars. We've got a Doc Brown rolls up in the DeLorean. Nick, where do you go?
Fuck if I mean, honestly, there ain't a good time to go back to in human history. I would have to go forward, and I would make multiple jumps forward.
I was gonna say we don't even know what that could be at this point, bro. I mean, it could be a wasteland.
Yeah. Truthfully, because no matter where you go back, shit sucks. That's for some reason, like racism.
Well, how about you? How about you and your
your
love of history and the Triassic and Jurassic? Wouldn't you want to just go and look at the dinosaurs real quick live before they ate you?
Oh yeah, if he's talking about just like a place to visit and not a place to like settle down.
Yeah, we'll spin it that way.
I would probably go to I would probably go to like the Cretaceous period where like all of the dinosaurs or most of the dinosaurs that you know from Jurassic Park are from. I would do that. I would go and check out all that stuff, and see what life back then was really like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like Bango, Omaha Beach, as long as the God mode cheat code is turned on. So I'll say something similar, Nick. I was like you. I'm like, I don't want to go in the past. I want to go into the future and see if we eventually achieve Star Trek level society, because that to me is still the dream. It's never going to happen because the humans in real life are not like humans in science fiction. But I would love a Star Trek society where there's no disease, people live longer, there's no currency, everyone works together on the planet to make Earth and the galaxy a better place. I know that sounds sappy and woke as fuck, but I promise you, when you're happy and getting along with other humans, life is going to be better for everyone. It's just, for some reason, a lot of people haven't figured that out yet. They still want that power, that control. But if I went back in the past, kind of in line with Bango, not so far into future weaponry, but Nick, I'd want to show up with a modern arsenal back in like medieval times and take over the entire planet with just by myself. Because if I had a few guns, maybe even a tank, hell, a fucking jet, I could take over the world. I would become the God King of planet Earth. So that's what I'm doing.
Nice. Good call.
All right. Spencer's going back. Oh, look at this guy. Spencer, are you assuming Blanche is watching the show here, buddy? And you're trying to get some bonus points to the day I met my wife. Would love to live that day over. What a sweet man. All right. Thank you, Cyan XTC. All right. I like this one. A Star Wars Toy Story. I don't think we've ever got a question for them, so I dig it. But they know who I am, and they know that I'm in the Chipotle, so we're doing something right. But they're asking, Matt, have you tried the honey chicken at Chipotle yet? I'd like to use a favorite saying of mine. Does a bear shit in the woods? Of course I did. As soon as I saw that, as soon as I got the email way back when it first started, I was probably one of the first motherfuckers to order that, and I have kept it in my order that I do each week without fail. It is excellent. Although I still think my favorite special chicken flavor at Chipotle is the chicken al pastor. Thank you.
Nice.
Nick, you don't fuck with Chipotle, right? So
I have not had Chipotle. I can't remember when the last time.
Well, I know they got them down there. You're just going for the authentic Tex-Mex type of stuff. Or do you do any Chipotle burrito shops down there?
We don't eat Mexican a whole bunch.
Really?
Like every now and then. Yeah, no, I mean, we eat, like, honestly, the style of cuisine that we eat the most is Asian, like pan-Asian. Choose this, like Vietnamese, Japanese, Chinese.
It's good shit, man.
All
some
any
pan
type
noodles,
of
some
Asian
Japanese
dish.
pan noodles with like some steak or fried chicken.
Fantastic.
Is that your Asian, your number one then, you think, overall?
Yeah, 100%. Like yesterday, or not yesterday, it was this weekend. we were supposed to cook something, but we didn't have all the ingredients for it. And I was just sitting there. I was like, what do we have ingredients for and what can we make? And we made kimchi fried rice with hoisin garlic marinated chicken. And
Boom.
that's just shit that we had in our house to make it with. And we made it all from scratch.
Well, yeah,
So
people that are new here, you understand this guy's like him and his partner, they're more or less live-in chefs. I mean, they've got like the big kitchen, the big fucking exhaust fan. And this is kind of what you guys do this every night, right? Like you're not
yeah.
much into eating out. Like you go to the grocery store, you buy a bunch of raw shit, and then you guys chef it up all week long, right?
Yeah, we cook at least 5 days a week.
Damn.
And then if it was up to Taylor, we would probably cook 7 days a
Dual
week. But
income,
like,
no kids lifestyle right there, bro.
Yeah.
He's a dink
Yeah.
to the T.
And then Saturday and Sunday we usually order stuff in. So, but
yeah,
5 days a week.
It's tough for me. I mean, I think I'd probably have to go Mexican #1, but Italian is up there, Asian's up there, American. Those are like my 4. But the quantity of Mexican I consume, I probably have to put that first. Then it's probably Italian, or Italian, as they like to say in Pittsburgh. Then Asian, then American, because American is good, but it's basic. It's just fried shit, burgers, fries, crap like that. All right, good stuff here. Hell yeah, you're getting ads. That's how we make half a cent for 2 hours of labor. Come on, give us a break here. All right, we got Kramer coming in here. He asked a question earlier for pay, Nick, real quick while I'm going to read this. But
Okay.
What do you think of the Saints' schedule for the new season? I didn't look at the Steelers. All I said is I hope they lose more than they win. So I guess while you're looking that up, if you want to be informed, I'll ask the question here. Since Andor is finished, what's the next Star Wars content that we're going to be getting, or do we have to wait until the Mando and Grogu? Well, that's going to be Visions in October, my friend. And then this one for you, Nick, that you can dovetail into your team's schedule. Thoughts on Derek Carr retiring, and who do you think should be QB1 for the Saints in 2025?
So let's see. I think that Derek Carr retiring was probably the best thing that could have happened for both parties. I mean, regardless of what his injury was, or his injury status, he didn't want to play for the team. The team didn't want to play with him either.
He's
it was
mid
pretty
anyways,
clear
man. He was never getting anywhere.
Yeah, the relationship had soured. But hey, I hope he recovers well, and I hope he has a great retirement. He got $10 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't worry.
Sounds fucking awesome.
He'll be okay, Nick. He'll be okay.
Yeah. As for who QB1's going to be, I mean, at this point, we're probably not going to. I would imagine that they're going to try to sign a veteran because we have.
Well, you're in the Rodgers talk now. You're with me. It's us now fighting for this bozo.
Yeah, I doubt that they would take him because I think that there's he's not the type of quarterback that Kellen Moore wants to work with. But if we don't sign a veteran, then I would imagine that they're going to start the Tyler Shuff show, whatever his last name is, the second round.
Shog.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that Spencer Rattler had potential, but he lost every game that he played in last year. So
he was a loser in college too. It's he should be lucky to be on a practice squad.
Yeah, so right now, not a lot of options, but I imagine that the new rookie that we got will start. So we'll see.
Damn, Kramer.
Schedule.
You just here you go. You'll get part of the reply. Here you go, Kramer.
There we go. Okay, yeah. So Derek Carr happy retired. Shuff will probably start, and then our schedule. I mean, we play in the NFC South, so all the teams in that division are pretty fucking bad. Even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, you can win that with a losing season, so you're good.
Yeah, I mean, you 100% can. I mean, we have a relatively easy schedule, I will say. Our toughest games are at Buffalo and then potentially at Rams. That's probably our hardest games. So, and given the fact that we're going to be starting a rookie quarterback who has an injury record from college, I still don't think we're going to do that great.
Awesome.
I would imagine that our record's going to be somewhere around the 7-8 or
you have high hopes like I do.
7-9.
Unfortunately,
we'll
my
see.
team will still find a way to fuck up and like go 500 and get shitty draft picks. You guys are at least adept at losing or having losing seasons. So,
Yeah,
all
I
right,
mean we're
all right.
very practiced in that.
Next up, Barron's Black Series, and I think this one's probably going to be me only.
That's
here.
for you.
All right, so Barron's asking something that's kind of emotional. I'll do my best not to melt here, so I'm going to try to not think about my own fatherdom. But what Spencer's asking here is it's an emotional question, like I said. What is it about being a parent, Matt, that catches people off guard when watching Star Wars? The ending of Andor broke me. Cassian will never get to meet his son, and his son will never get to meet his father. The great Cassian Andor that risked and did so much for him and the galaxy. My boy is my world. I'd hate to have never met such a wonderful little boy. It's just that, Spencer. It's almost, it is impossible to explain to someone that has not procreated or had their own kid. I know you pet parents out there like to think that they're like your children and it's similar, but it's not even close. And you're talking to a guy that loves animals more than most humans in his life. So I'm with you. I love pets. They're fantastic. But when you produce another human that you have to take care of, it's instant love. There are no walls put up between you and your children like you've put up between you and your parents, you and your family members, you and your friends, the daughter, and my pets. And he explained it's a phenomena. Like parents, when you have a child, they're instantly in your safe zone. There are no walls built up between you and your kids. They are your everything. So when you watch stuff in science fiction or on TV and it's dealing with parents and kids and what parents may experience or what kids may experience, you can't help but relate that to your own life. Therefore, the emotions well up and you may find yourself crying watching Star Wars or something else that is completely fiction based. Okay? So there you go. I like I said, I don't know the exact science behind it. I'm someone that never really wanted to have a kid, so don't even like think I'm one of these, I got to have 50 kids. I didn't even have my kid till I was 36. I was already married for 10 years. I lived a life, and I can say without fail that having the kid has made my life more meaningful. And I think most people feel that way, which is why when you think about fake characters and their families, it can still fuck you up because you're always going to tie it to your own experience. All right, there you go. Okay, good stuff there, team. All right, we're not quite ready for the Andor Season 2 finale yet. We've got a few other things to talk about here. That was not the button to push there, Haywood. All right, how about this one? There we go. You always have a good time on the Star Wars Time Show live stream. If you haven't checked it out yet, give us a look. Wednesdays, 5:30 p. East, or as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Although, don't do that for the next 2 weeks because we don't like to advertise it, but we might as well let you all know now. But we are taking a 2-week break after tonight's show. So the next 2 weeks, there's not going to be any lives. There's not really going to be anything. It's a well-earned half-year break, especially after that Andor slog. I'm going out and doing my beach vacation, and I do just kind of want to disassociate with the SWTS. I'll never be able to do it in full. I'll still be in Discord checking on the chats, and we already have our calendar loaded with clips to share from the show and other content. So fear not. You'll still get some Star Wars Time Show throughout your day the next 2 weeks, just no lives. But that's how we do it. That's right, Bango. We're drying up the free entertainment for a couple weeks. Thank you. All
there
right.
you go.
Yeah, we are taking a break, League. Thank you. So anyways, before we get that Andor season, we do have a few things to discuss. You know me, Mr. Movie Guy. Not a lot of stuff releasing last week, Nick. There really wasn't much to choose from. There was a few new films, and I opted to go with Josh Hartnett and Katie Sackhoff's Fight or Flight. And quite frankly, I was pleased with my choice. It ended up being a pretty fun action film, pretty hardcore violence. I would say it's similar in nature to Bullet Train, but on a plane. And I think more violent in terms of the action and how people are wasted, if you will. It's got some funny parts to it. It's got a decent story. I wouldn't say it's something that there's a lot of twists and turns that are going to keep you on the edge of your seat, but it's good enough that you're not going to be sitting there just wanting the next action moment to take place. And it ends in a way that opens it up for potential sequels, and I enjoyed it enough that I would be down to go see a second one. So I do think that Fight or Flight is worth checking out. Although this week, I know we got the new Final Destination coming in the theaters. I'm all excited for that because I love that slop franchise. May even take my kid, who I know you're like, Matt, she's 9. It's R-rated and pretty hardcore. I'm like, well, guess what? She might have watched the first 5 with her dad by mistake at the house. I can't help it if she walks in the room and doesn't leave. So we'll see how bad of a parent I feel like being on a Thursday night. So there you go. Nice. Fight or Flight. I think it's worth the effort, worth going to the theater. Definitely a fun action
You get
film.
to see Katie Sackhoff on the big screen. There you go.
Yeah, and she plays a boss. You know, she's a boss, like a boss lady. Yeah. So
nice.
And she looked very, very Katie correct, which is fantastic. Nice. All right, this is just a little thing here. I don't even know if I told Nick about this, and it honestly is probably just to get us to click on their domain. But the Star Wars Time Show has cracked the top 100 Star Wars podcasts on the Million Podcast Network. We're coming in at 38. Yeah. I think we should be 8 or 5 or 1, but hey, we will take it. We're ranked in the top 40 of Star Wars
top
podcasts.
40, baby.
Let's go.
If this was old school radio, we would be in there. Top 40 of the week with Casey Kasem. Remember that kind of shit?
Yeah.
I'm looking at these. I looked at the list and I was like, did Matt link this? And then we are not even on it because I scrolled all the way to the bottom to start. So
hey, look at Nick.
I was like,
Nick thought we were going to be at the bottom. Look at him shooting us in the foot. No
shit. 38, baby. Not bad.
Yeah. Top 20, Devin. I'm with you. I'm not sure how we get there. I mean, if you look, we've got way more reviews than the show above us, but I guess because they're rated a 5. Who knows? I don't know how this thing is curated. I'll take it, but yeah, we should definitely be higher than we are. We have had a run on some subs here. I don't know what's going on. I mean, Andor, while the content isn't popping quite like Skeleton Crew, on the short front, it's definitely a noticeable increase in traffic we're getting on all of our live show Andor breakdowns and my full form breakdowns, which I would love for you all to go check out. Write down the note right now, you lazy assholes. Put on a notification. I want you all to go check out my full breakdown of the Andor S2 finale arc. It's out there on youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show right now. Watch it, give it a like, leave a comment, share it around. You know what to do.
That. And you know what this shows you, everybody? After 10 years of work, you too can crack the top 40 of Star Wars podcasts.
Jesus. So, it really, I mean, I don't want to go.
It's cool.
I've gotten over that character who's always like, oh, no one likes us. We should be better. But it's still there. I mean, I know we are better. I know we are. I know we're better than half these fucking channels that are above us. I know we're better than most of the shit you guys see on Instagram that share similar content. But it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the AI gods think, and they think we suck, and they make us pay for our suckiness. So here we are. We'll always be low tier, but you all that have found us, you know you've got the secret sauce, and you're getting the best Star Wars content week to week on this planet. The fuck out of here, everyone else. All right, here we go. Thank you, League, for the comment on the finale breakdown. I do like that type of feedback. I put a lot of time into that shit. I got to do the edit, got to gather all the assets, write the script, record the script, cut the video. I got to get all this done before the live stream, so I appreciate any time it gives me just some basic feedback. That's it, YouTube. I'm not looking to get rich off of you. Just share my fucking content. Thank you. All right, Devin Doty.
Thank you, Devin.
Dropping in a 5 spot. To be top 40 at anything in life is a feat. Thank you.
That is true.
Thank you.
That's
we
true.
Appreciate you. We speak your name. Good to see you in
it.
here, Lord Doty. All right, Nick, I think we made it. It's time to talk about that beautiful arc we just consumed last night, the Andor Season 2 finale. As you heard earlier, I guess I'll just go in and do mine since I'm fucking yapping like a pig today. Um, I don't know how many more superlatives I can kind of throw out about the Andor season 2 finale arc. I mean, I do agree with Nick. I think arc 3 is probably the primo arc of the season, but like Nick said, arc 4, the one we just watched, comes in very close. It might not have been as tense as the Gorman arc, but it was pretty similar to feeling like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? Oh, okay, she's here, they're there, they're out there, he's doing this, they're doing that, radios are, oh my god, they're in hospitals, we're in safe rooms that are all blown out now, we've got ISB tactical units we've never seen before in white armor, what's going on here? So it was fantastic, but more importantly, what I appreciated about this finale arc is the sheer level of closure we got for the Andor characters and the Andor specific plot arcs over the past 2 seasons. But I'd say more importantly, for all of the new lore and world building, character building, we got to prop up Rogue One and, I believe, A New Hope in new ways. In fact, I give Bango credit last night. As soon as he rolled the credits on Andor episode 12, he went right into Rogue One. And I think all of us Star Wars fans need to treat ourselves to that, because just like after the end of season 1, Rogue One was enhanced. I can't even imagine what watching Rogue One and even parts of A New Hope are like now after taking in season 2. And that's not only a credit to its first 9 episodes, but it's really an homage to the finale and how well it closed things off while fleshing out content we already know about, enriching that content, making it deeper, making it meatier, and really just giving the common man of the rebellion their due, and showing how important the regular people, the Luthans, the Mons, the Cassians, the Clayas, the Bixes, the Brassos, the Wilmans were to defeating the Empire, versus just always pointing to the fucking Skywalker twins, especially the farm boy that showed up literally at the last minute and took all the glory. Even from his fucking sister, he took all the glory. So now we have Andor season 2 to return some of the glory to the common man and women of the Rebel Alliance. And for that, I thought it was a perfect finale. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it was super good to me. This was the one that felt the most Bourne, if you know Tony's history with the Bourne franchise. This one, even the music in the first episode, I was listening to it, I was like, did they just take the music from like Bourne Identity or Bourne Supremacy? But this one was the most Bourne like in terms of its content. It's heavy focus on spycraft more than the other ones, especially from Clea and then Extraction. I thought that was really interesting. The Luthen stuff, obviously we knew that Luthen was going to go out somehow. I thought it was interesting the way that they chose to do it. And I think that it definitely showed his hubris to a certain degree, to be told to his face by his Imperial plant that they're after him and they're on him, and to then not really do anything about it, not leave.
No, he knew he was fucked. And you gotta remember, Lonnie couldn't confirm that they were actually on the Luthen because he found all the Death Star stuff and went on a 3-hour fucking scan of someone's files.
Yeah, he's like sitting in Dedra's office scanning files or whatever the fuck he was doing. But yeah, I thought that the Luthen stuff was interesting. I thought that his death would have been a little bit more pronounced. I thought it was interesting that he didn't have a contingency plan. Like that was one thing that as soon as I saw it, I was like, interesting that the guy who is the progenitor of the rebellion doesn't have like a cyanide capsule too.
Oh, he did. Just, like, you mean for his life? I mean, you could see he was burning the circuits, and they fried all their files. The only thing he didn't finish is killing their radio. But when he turned, Nick, I'm with you. I was like, oh, he's gonna pop his tooth, but instead he went full seppuku and tried to stab himself to death.
Yeah, that's like that. It was surprising to me because it seemed like he got caught off guard by it, and that's why he had to use that knife that he was showing Dedra.
Well, it does make sense because if you heard, even the ISB is like, Dedra fucked up. Like, even she jumped the gun.
Oh, yeah.
So that, I think that's why Luthen ultimately didn't have those extra 30 minutes or an hour he needed to fully get the fuck out of Dodge. That's a good point.
Yeah. So interesting stuff there. And I think that the look into the background at how Clea had met Luthen and their relationship and how that evolved over time was very interesting.
It's awesome.
And it really played well into the heavy focus that was on Clea during the finale arc. So I thought all that was super great. The K2 stuff was really cool, obviously showing him for the wrecking machine that he was, and the tense moments that were going down at the safe house. And then
K2.
like
I've cleared a path. So, by just wanton murdering people using Hirt as a meat shield. I mean, that was fucking aces.
Yeah.
Love that droid.
I don't know what BMAD means that Clea was his plan.
You remember, I mean, he essentially was like, no, you're not going to do the burn, because he knew they were fucked and he didn't want her to get captured, but they were going to meet up. And I think he just kind of figured if shit went sideways, that it was always known that he can't live if the Empire catches him. So I think that's what BMAD's saying.
Yeah, Clea was his plan to kill him.
Well,
if he gets
Nick. Look at everything she got out of that safe, though. I mean, she had a specific key to open the hospital lockers. It's almost like they knew if he ever ended up in a hospital, whatever. They planned for her having to potentially kill him.
Yeah. She had like a little safe cracker. I wonder what else she uses that on. Or like how else that can be used, because it seems like it just works on anything that you give it enough time to like.
How impressive is this girl though? I mean, she single-handedly convinced the ISB that it took 3 people to do the hospital operation before Hirt figured out it was just her. I mean, she planted all those bombs when she was in her hijab. You know, she broke into the hospital, got the nurse's outfit, got up there, you know, took guards out. Was strong enough to kill her de facto dad. I mean, damn, she is solid.
Yeah, she was out there, and like I mean, you could tell like from the flashbacks and stuff, like she was just born and bred this way, so much so that like when it comes to the end, it was sad to watch Clea, because she's like, I've been trained my whole life to trust nobody except this one dude.
She was fully groomed, right? I mean, he tried to pretend like he wasn't grooming her, like that Naboo scene where he's like, no, I don't want you to actually make the choice. I'll make it for us. But their life together, the moment he found her in that tragic, I'm guessing it was her home world, and the Empire was just, you could hear it. They were just murdering innocents left and right that made him so sick. Sergeant Lear, we know is his real name, which is just Rael backwards. It made him sick enough that he's like, I'm out. And he took this orphan in. But I mean, these two, and I'll shut up because I've got words to say in top moments about their flashbacks. But like Nick was saying, it just goes to show you how damn good Tony and his team are, that they can essentially fully explain 2 characters' motivations in a 40-minute episode, and it makes complete sense and honors their past, their present, and who they were when we saw them in this show. I mean, that's just brilliant to use just a couple bits of a few flashbacks, a few words of dialogue, and I think we all fully understood who Luthen was and what he became, but also why Clea became the skilled rebel assassin that we saw her over these 2 seasons as well.
Yeah. So good stuff all around. I mean, I think the only thing for me that I like that didn't do it as much as I thought it was gonna feel impactful was the K2 stuff. I mean, I know that like started at the end of the 3rd arc, and then you just kind of get to the 4th arc, and he's there, the K2 that you know. But other than that, I mean, they showed K2 in the way that you expected to see K2, which is an Imperial wrecking droid, and then he has that personality that just
with a hell of a sense of humor
perfectly.
I like when they're coming back to Yavin hot, and he's like, I'm gonna tell them you kidnapped me, and then he turns and starts waving at the X-Wing pilots. It's like
Yeah,
would
it's just the way that
I
Alan Tudyk plays that
yeah.
character is great.
It would have been, and I'm fine with the B2 stuff. We got resolution there, whatever. Nick and I were wrong. I can admit that. But it would have been nice, like Nick is saying, and I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it. But at the end of the third arc, if they would have put a little more explanation into the core swap, like, oh yeah, this is our a new prototype rebel droid companion, just something like that. But it is, I know what Nick's saying, where we pick up in arc 4 and K2 is already that guy. I guess when he came online, he was already kind of snarky, like, hey man, do I know you? I'm sorry if I did something, but can you fucking stop pointing that shit at my face? Yeah, man, K2 is excellent stuff here. All right. There we go. Okay, so those are our kind of thoughts. And like I said, if you really want my deep explanations and my more emotional take on the Andor Season 2 finale arc, please check that out on YouTube. But right now, we're going to start going into the breakdown aspect here, covering the top moments, the Easter eggs, the references, and maybe questions Nick and I might have had when we were watching these episodes play out. I got a screen up there when Melshi walks out into the hall and just freezes like a deer in headlights. Yeah. That was so funny. I was like, Melshi, what the fuck are you doing? You got to figure Melshi might still be on that Revnog. He might still be drunk on this mission because he's just sitting there, he's like, oh fuck, look at all these guys, and then eventually he runs back. That was funny stuff. All right, Nick, so let's get into some of the top moments here to keep talking about this fantastic arc, because it really was just so perfect at setting up Rogue One. I mean, listen, I get it. Andor itself, the first 2 seasons, is a direct prequel to Rogue One and now tangentially A New Hope. But I really felt like this finale arc was a direct, capital D, direct prequel to a Rogue One. I mean, it was just...
Yeah.
I mean, just think about the last 3 minutes of the last episode, Nick. It was like, oh, here's this character from Rogue One. Here's this character. Here's what this character's doing. Here's what this character's doing. Oh, look, they're together. You know, family made it on Yavin. The Mothma and Val... It's so good. Anyways,
yeah, in a way, like the show didn't really end. Like the show didn't have like an ending. It's like, yeah, that little postscript with Bix standing there, but like the show ends with Cassian like, okay, I got to do some other shit now, and like takes off to go to.
That's what he told us, though. You got to remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Our Lord, before he even started fully writing season 2, said, "I know we have to end with Cassian walking towards his mission on Kafrene," and he fucking did it. Like it nailed it. Mm-hmm. Literally, we saw Cassian gear up in his Rogue One correct fit, rolling out, got on the B or what the U-wing, gave K2 coordinates for Kafrene, and here we go. He's off to see Tivik. We even heard him talking about Tivik and how Tivik will only talk to Cassian, because you got to figure that Tivik and Cassian have probably known each other for 4 or 5 years through the Luthen connection. You gotta remember, all these assholes on Yavin, as it was made clear in this arc, do not love Luthen at all. They don't. They're even begrudgingly. They don't even want to give him the respect that Cassian thinks, and we all know he deserves. But Yavin's got no love for Luthen. They do not look at him as anything but a thorn in their side. So let's do some of these top moments here, Nick. I'm starting out episode 10. It was a big moment, and it led to a major character death, although it didn't quite play out the way. I guess before we get there, I kind of found Luthen's death to be ideal for him. You know, we are always worried, okay, who's going to kill him? How's he going to die? I do think for someone of his character, stature, nature, him seppukuing and then needing his assistant / daughter to kind of ensure he's dead just made complete sense for the character. Do you agree, or would you have liked him to go out a different way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that his death was going to be impactful regardless of how you did it, unless it was just like a complete off the screen type of thing. I think that for me, I wanted it to be like I said before, it's like it almost felt like for a person that is as wanted as he is, he was not prepared for it. And somebody who was always prepared for everything felt like he should have been prepared more for that at that moment, especially like when he's already going through and he's getting rid of shit. He literally had to turn to a random prop that he had in his office to try to off himself with and didn't do it very well. So that was the only thing, is like somebody who is eminently prepared was not prepared for the eventuality when he knew that they were coming for him. That was the only thing that felt off to me. But obviously, they're doing
See,
it for storytelling reasons, and they needed to get Clay to do what she was doing to get, everything
yeah,
else
I
to
mean,
happen.
I'll disagree slightly. I think he was prepared. There was a plan, but because of what Lonnie did, it escalated everything to a point where they just could not account for the loss of time. Here's the other thing. I'll also say Luthen had lost his edge. It was made clear on that Yavin Council. I mean, they spelled out why they don't trust him. He stayed on Coruscant too long. He's paranoid. Maybe he's psychotic. Can we even trust him anymore? Maybe he's a mole. I mean, so I think Luthen almost victimized himself because of how in control he wanted to remain, but couldn't because, as he explained to Dedra, the rebellion left his shop many, many years ago and has spread its wings throughout the galaxy. So I'll give you a kind of 50-50 on Luthen. He was not the sharp man that we met in season 1, that's for sure, by the end. Like he was exhausted, beat down, had way too many irons in the fire, and he just knew it. Like I think it was clear in the last arc, Nick, that he was self-resigned to, I'm going to die for this cause, and I'm going to die right here on Coruscant. Like, fuck Yavin, they don't like me anyways. I'm going to stay here. And listen, if he didn't stay there, the rebels would have never gotten the Death Star intel in the first place. So in the end, he was where the Force wanted him to be.
Would you also, if you were in that situation, would you not just try to kill this bitch after you figure out that she already knows who you are? Like, why just stand there?
Nick, it's like I said, I think he knew his time was up, and he knew that it was it. Like, it wasn't worth it. I don't know. I'm with you, man.
I guess it's not worth it.
There's like narrative purposes, as you explained why it didn't happen. But I just think he was like, you know what? Who cares? Like, I'm not going to. We could explain it this way. He's not going to risk not being able to take himself out in a fight with Dedra just in case he doesn't kill her. So I think in his mind, he's like, I got to do what I got to do to try and ensure she does not get a hold of what's in my head. Maybe that's why. Who knows? All right. So that wasn't a top moment. I just kind of got random there, but it spawns from this top moment, and it is the dance between these two master spies and Dedra and Luthen. I love this scene. I mean, it did catch Luthen by surprise. There's a great moment where he's trying to burn their radio, and the doorbell goes off, and he just looks up like, oh fuck, like I'm fucked. Like he knew it. He knew he missed the clock. But then they get in there, and then they just sit there, and they keep bullshitting each other, even though they both know who each other is and what the other person has been up to. It was a beautiful, like I said, dance of words, of basically they were double talking each other, Nick. I mean, Luthen says a great line in here. He's like, well, there's only 2 artifacts in here that are suspect now, essentially, talking about himself and Dedra, and Dedra finally thinking like, I did it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna finally get my man, and she kind of bumblefucks it, which does allow Luthen to almost off himself. But she gets the meds in the medvac in there, whatever the hell they were, and they get them all strapped up in these machines. But this scene was super tense because we knew what they were saying to each other. We knew she was going to out him. We knew she was going to either take him out or arrest him. But he's still playing that character, the gift shop, the collector character, and he's just so kind of suave about it. And what I like the most, this scene was super tense, but they used no music whatsoever. There wasn't a backtrack. There was no score. It was just them talking, and I think that's what really kind of sold the tension between these two.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the right time to use no music and just let things kind of sit as they are and let the tension build in the conversation. Yeah, I mean, I think that the scene itself was very well done. And as Dedra always does, she fucks it up somehow. It's just that's just her MO.
Yeah, I mean,
She is a very, very motivated person, not very good at actually like seeing things through as well as she probably could or should, or listening to orders.
hey Nick,
Just not her strong suit.
could we argue that Dedra and Luthen's journey essentially mirrored each other just on the opposite side? Because similar to Luthen, I mean, obviously he had way more years in the fight than she did, but
Mhm.
once she was keyed on to Axis and finding Luthen, it became her obsession. Like the rebellion became Luthen's obsession, and both of their obsessions ultimately led to their demise because they lost their
Yeah.
edge. They started doing things that they probably wouldn't do. They started making decisions that weren't smart. We learned that Dedger was fucking off for 2 years, scavenging intel from higher ups like Krennic. We saw Luthen was losing his game way back in hell a couple arcs ago. Like he was very nervous, frantic, anxious about everything. He wasn't the Luthen of season one. So both of them, due to their obsessions with each other's plot or plan, ultimately took themselves out of the galactic conflict. So I thought
Yeah.
that was great
Yeah.
how these two, I don't want to say they were a coin of two different sides, but they kind of were just on the opposite sides of the galactic conflict. So I did like that scene between these two. Um, the next one here, and I kind of talked about this a little bit because I wanted to hold on it, but I really appreciated those flashbacks. We were always kind of wondering where Luthen came from, where he got all his money and connections and whatnot, and we learned he built it up from the ground freaking up, as essentially we have to assume he was some form of Imperial soldier. He was a sergeant, so he wasn't even an officer. He was Sergeant Lear. It
Mhm.
sounded like he was on a planet soon after the fall of the Republic. I even heard some gunship sounds, like, Republic gunships flying around. You could hear innocents like, ah! They talked
Yeah.
about lighting a basement of 50 people on fire and where are you at, Luthen? You got, you could see it instantly. And they were very short flashbacks, but like I said earlier, they did such a good job at fleshing out the motivations of both Luthen and Clea. So that's why
Mhm.
I loved all those moments. And then it went all the way up to her hospital raid, which I thought, again, just showed. I mean, she's the Ethan Hunt of Star Wars. Let's be real. I mean, Cassian ended up becoming a pretty damn good spy. Clea blows him out of the water. I mean, her getting up to that secure hall through blowing shit up outside, just systematically blowing away those ISB tactical units, and then getting in there, looking at her de facto dad, and not even taking a fucking beat, and just unhooked his shit, let a tear shed, gave him one kiss to the forehead, and was out. It was beautiful for someone like that was groomed and grew up to be essentially an emotionless rebel assassin. So
Yeah.
I loved everything we got about Luthen and Clea from episode 10. I just thought it was a nice little cherry on top of these brand new characters that Andor brought us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this arc was definitely Clea's arc in its entirety. I mean, and she was a pretty understated character throughout the whole season. And like you were saying, you really started to notice her more as Luthen started to degrade
Yep.
later
She
in
she
the
was the
arcs.
she was the leader, wouldn't you say, for probably the past 2 or 3 years? Like she was the one really kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's the one that's like, "All right, dude, like we just can't like just keeping the ship relatively straight. Like there's still going to be fuck ups and there's still going to be issues that pop up and obviously just the foundation on which they were standing and the inability to work with the now like formed rebellion has put her in an awkward situation, especially being that the only place she has to go is Yavin. But yeah, I mean, she was the leader there at the end, and it was very clear, even towards the end of the third arc, that like she was the one that was keeping that side of the rebellion together, and Luthen was now kind of at his
Oh yeah.
end. At least in terms of like effectiveness and being able to like set shit up properly for rebellious activity. So yeah, it was very clear. I think that she was just a real treat to watch the whole way through, and really did feel like somebody, like a true spy, like somebody who was born and bred to do the stuff that she was doing, more so than anybody that we've seen in Andor thus far, even more so than Cassian.
Oh
um
yeah.
yeah, like she was the one who was like, this is the thing that I have been trained to do for my entire life since I was found on that ship.
Yeah, and
And you
wanted to
could
do
tell
it.
it was masterfully done.
It's like that little
Yeah.
girl, especially when we saw them in the second scene where we're on the woods and we learned that they've been essentially trading up junk their whole lives to build up that shop. Did anyone else realize that he
Yeah.
secured
Yeah.
all that stuff legitimately? It's like I don't know what you call it, but you know how some people they'll start with like AirPods and then eventually end up with a house through trading. Has anyone ever heard about
Yep.
that?
Yep. I've
That's
seen that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
that's what they did, and I just that it's I know it's fairly insignificant lore, but I love that shit. I love seeing them even when they first met trading artifacts, because that's what they become. That becomes their cover, and it was essentially their cover since they met. Hell, they've been rebelling since they met. She wanted to. I mean, when they're leaving that junk shop, and he explains to her like, "Yeah, you're my daughter when it's convenient," and he sees her kind of get sour. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you." She's like, "Fuck you, I'm cool. I just want to eat." Like I get it,
Yeah.
man. Like, and then when she's on that other planet and she forces herself to watch the firing squad, she's like, "Yo, let's fucking go. Like, when are we gonna do something?" So I mean, it's not even like he had to tweak her. She, like a lot of the rebels in the Rebel Alliance, learned at a young age that the Empire was bad, and all she wanted was to return the destruction that they inflicted upon her and her family. So I mean, all these, like I said, it was 40 minutes, a 40-minute episode. The flashbacks probably totaled maybe 10 minutes, yet they did a perfect job of explaining these two characters that were relatively mysterious outside of what they were doing in Andor season 1 and 2. So just choice type of shit. All right,
Definitely.
next scene here. We got to give the Empire some love, but I really appreciate. I love anytime Ben Mendelsohn is on screen as Krennic. I think he acts that character so damn well. But I loved his interrogation of Miro. Not only for the physical stuff between Denise and Ben. I mean, some of the faces she was making, like the shock or the confusion or the horror. Or when Ben taps on her head like, the Death Star. What do you think Lonnie did with that information? It was just, I appreciate these two humans and their acting abilities. That's why it added to this being a top scene. But as a fan, I also loved all the new lore we got. This is where we learned that it's when you really break it down, Dedra Miro is the main reason the Death Star, not the plans, but the idea, the notion that the Empire was building one, got out. It's her fault.
Yeah.
And I love that type of shit. It's not like we needed to know that, but it's so much cooler now that we do know that for Andor, Rogue One, and A New Hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Krennic said it perfectly. It's like, if you're not a rebel spy, then you've missed your calling. Because honestly, she fucking handed everything to him. Like she gets this package of information like by accident, doesn't report it, then gets hacked into. All of that information is spilled into an actual rebel spy who then feeds it back to his rebellion contact. And it's all because she does not have the ability to just listen to people. Like when somebody tells her something, she just decides to do whatever the fuck she wants to do with it. Like she does not have the ability to take orders. And in an empire, that is your one fucking job, is to take orders from the people who give it to you. And when honestly, she's lucky that they didn't just kill her on the spot. Like, actually, she's not lucky, because it's better for her to be in a prison camp for the rest of her life than to be killed on the spot, because she deserves to be. But I mean,
honestly, Nick, I think her character probably would have preferred being killed. Because you are right.
Absolutely.
Like her prison sentence on Narkina 5 is way worse than just getting off.
Oh yeah. yeah, I mean, Partagaz had the easy way out, bro. He was just like,
He's like,
"Oh,
fuck this shit.
I have a meeting to go to. You're goddamn right, I have a
Bro,
meeting to go
I'm
to.
glad
Look
you
at my
brought that
pistol."
up. We'll talk about it because it is an egg reference moment. But you understand the only people above him were Yularen, Palpatine, Vader, and Tarkin. So like he was probably
Yeah.
going to face one of them, and he's like, you know what, fuck this shit, dude.
Yeah, he's like, "There's no way I'm going to that
I'm
motherfucking
good.
meeting."
I'm good.
Yeah, and Legret was like, "Yeah, I'll give you your moment." He knew what he was
Oh,
gonna
of
do.
course,
He
of
was like,
course.
yeah, like Legret was like, "Yeah, you could have it, bro. I'm not gonna let Vader choke you to death and throw
I
your
even
body
like
around a
when
room."
he was outside how they shot
Yeah,
the suicide. You just hear it, and the trooper's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Nah, nah, trust me,
it's fine.
We're good.
Yeah,
Meant to happen." Yeah. So I love this scene. I mean, like I said, just think about the new Death Star lore. I know Nick was starting to get into it, but we learned that the reason the Death Star, just the idea that the Empire was building a super weapon, leaked because Dedra was stealing Imperial information from Krennic for 2 years straight. So she had all these files on her personal system. Like she had the Scarif stuff, the Jeddah and Kyber, Galen Urso, what the Gorman mining was actually being used for. I mean, she knew it was called the Death Star. And lo and behold, we then learned that Lonnie Jung, one of Luthen's assets, an early member of the rebellion, stole her cipher and had it for a year and didn't tell Luthen because he knew Luthen would bust his balls, but he still sat on it and used it wisely. He burned his cover by spending 2 or 3 hours going through her personal files and not really looking out for Luthen, as Nick kind of pointed out. And Luthen's like, "Yo, man, are they after me?" He's like, "Hey, fuckhead, I couldn't check. I didn't have enough time because what I found is bigger than you surviving and technically me surviving, even though Lonnie thought he was going to get out of this situation alive." So Lonnie learns about all this shit through Dedra's files. Lonnie then feeds it to Luthen Rael, who then feeds it to Clea Marquis, who then feeds it to Cassian Andor, who then feeds it to the Rebel Council, who tells him he's stupid and Luthen can't be trusted and you are grounded. Then the Rebel Council learns that this Tivik guy, one of Saul's contacts, who knows Cassian through Luthen's connections and his network, will only talk to Cassian about some crazy intel that he's learned on Jeddah. So then they're like, oh shit, Cassian's talking about Jeddah and Kyber and how it's connected to Galen and Scarif. Maybe we should follow up on this. So they let him fly. He goes, he meets Tivik. Tivik, you gotta remember, what Tivik tells him is, hey, there is a defected pilot on Jeddah that told us the Empire is building a massive space station and Galen Urso is the key to stopping it. So right there, when Cassian hears that, he now knows, like, yes, I know for sure what Luthen was telling me is legit. That's why he then goes back to Yavin, and they're like, okay, we need to get Urso's kid to find Galen. And there's Rogue One. Then we know what happens. They find Galen, or at least get the message from Galen. He lets them know about the exploit. They go to Scarif after fighting that dipshit Rebel Council one more time. They get the plans. They transmit it. They die. They go to Leia. Leia gives them to Dodonna on Yavin. He does the briefing. Luke gets in his X-Wing. They fly through the trench. He blows it up. There we go. There's the full lore of how the Rebel Alliance secured the Death Star intel. And you gotta love it. And last thing on this scene, Nick, that I appreciated, it showed you right out in the open why the Empire failed. Because people like Dedra and Krennic and all the other leaders were too busy about their own glory, their own power grabs, that they could never work together to stop the rebels. I mean, she was stealing intel from him that she could have used to help her find access, but he wouldn't share it with her because he was only concerned about his Death Star project. And you could argue that's been the Empire since day one. They've always been about their own power versus, hey, let's actually work together and we would be a dominant force, just like we see the Rebel Alliance turn into.
Yeah. I mean, it was something that also kind of reared its head when you look at Thrawn's storyline too, where it's like Thrawn has this idea to make the Imperial Navy like the preeminent force in the galaxy that no Rebel Alliance could stand up to with the TIE Defender project. And it got shot down because they were like, no, we're going to give all the money to the Death Star project, where realistically, as an imperial government, you could have done both. But no, it was they wanted to be like, nope, we're just going to do the Death Star. We're not going to do your thing either. So it's just like everybody is very, very focused on whatever they want to do. They're not working together. They all want to try to get power whatever way that they can. And yeah, like you said, it's just not conducive to having a buttoned up system to where you can actually control your power for long periods of time. I mean, the empire only lasted what, 20, like 30 years, less than 30 years, like 30
well, what
30ish years.
the twins were born when it was born, and were they about 19 during the Battle of Yavin?
Yeah, 19. It was 19.
All right, then
Yeah,
we had about
19,
what,
and then
3 years until, or 2 or 3 years to Empire, and then another year or so
then,
to So I'd say about 25 years tops. It lasted.
It's like all that build up, and you last 25 years. Like it's a long time.
Did you say you remember when the armor made fun of them? Like, oh yeah, the Great Empire. Oh, it didn't even last 30 years.
Yeah, it's like 25 years, like all this build up, all of the work that Palpatine had put in prior to just get to the position where he was, like being under, like training and all the other stuff, the subversion, everything. This last 25 years because these motherfuckers can't work together. And that's what, like, everybody wants to shit on the Rebel Council, and I get it because, like, we have knowledge that they don't have because we watched the show. But, like, that's what they're trying to prevent. Like, when they're looking at Saw and they're looking at Luthen, and these two people are doing their own thing, they're not communicating, they're not giving information, they're not working together as a group. That's why they're upset at Luthen and Saw, is because they see the cracks forming in the Empire, and they're like, if we just do the same thing that they do, then we're going to fucking fall apart too. So they wanted everybody to work together. And that's why Mothma's so frustrated when she's talking to Saw.
He really is a Looney Tune. They're like, we know you're there, dude. He's like, no, you don't.
Yeah. It's like, bro, you are so high that you don't realize
you keep killing all our goddamn spies we're sending over there just to make sure you're okay, dude. We know you're there. Just tell us. Just confirm it. You got a fucking Star Destroyer above there. You guys are in trouble. Quit ratcheting up the heat on this Rebel alliance we just formed.
Yeah, it's like, that's like, it's frustrating for sure as the viewer to watch it because we know what's happening, but from their point of view, they're like, look, we're trying to do this together. Like, just fucking work with us. Yeah. So it's frustrating for sure.
Bango, I will get to you. Just want to recognize the super chat there. But yeah, I plan to talk about Partagaz and Nemec's manifesto. So cheers to you and that donation. All right, good stuff there. I mean, I love talking about the Empire, especially when they're inept. Another top moment I had from this arc, Nick, and it is another dialogue-based one. There wasn't a ton of action this episode, which was fine because I think the character interactions were more than what we needed. But I really liked the exchange. I'm just trying to find a good image here. Here we go. We'll use this. The exchange between Clea and Cassian in the safe house. First, I thought it was interesting when he shows up, she goes, of course it would be you. So, I mean, her signal apparently went out to anyone that still had one of those radios from Luthen's network. But yeah, it made sense that Cassian would be the guy. I mean, it's just once he got looped in with Luthen and Clea, he was essentially part of.
He was the go-to guy.
He was their family. I mean, he was a part of that whatever quasi rebel spy assassin family they had. He was a part of it, and Nick's right. He pretty much never failed. At least the operations we were shown. He calls it luck. The one lady calls it the Force. He's the messenger, but yeah, he never let them down. But I think what I really liked in the dialogue in this scene is just the pain you could see and feel coming out of Clea's soul, knowing that Luthen is gone, but also that no one will ever truly know what he did for the galaxy and the Rebel Alliance, knowing that people on Yavin talk shit about him and indirectly about her, and that there is no respect for what Luthen did, and none of them appreciate that he truly was the grandfather of this alliance. he was the one that's been doing the work for decades, where, you know, like Cassian said, some of you bums haven't done shit. You just showed up here on Yavin, and you're sitting here running down this man that has sacrificed essentially his entire adult life for this cause. So I liked seeing that pain come from her, because really the only person that could understand her pain and feel it with her would be Cassian. Because that's really the only asset she really knew outside of, you know, Vel and Cinta. Everyone else was scattered. She was just a radio operator. So just kind of seeing the loss coming through her eyes of like, what am I to do now? Like my solace is my prize is going to Yavin, this fucking planet where all they do is talk shit about my guy. Like, no, this ain't right. This isn't what I want. So I don't know. I felt extremely emotional and bad for Clea during this exchange.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also, it feels bad on top of what you said to see a person who literally doesn't even trust the person that's in the room with her, realistically. Like,
Yep.
She's like, of course it's you.
She's like, you went out, you opted out at one point. You cut away from Luthen and I.
Yeah. Like, and ultimately to see somebody who doesn't have anybody else in the galaxy that she trusts, and it was by design. Like,
Yep.
she was designed, as fucked up as that is to say, but it was Luthen's design for her to trust nobody but him. And can you imagine what this woman's life is going to be like moving forward? Because she essentially has to be deprogrammed in a way. Like, she has to understand that,
and it seems it's slowly starting, right? Like by the end, after, you know, Vel kind of picks her up and was like, hey man, come on. Like, I get it. We can help each other through this. I've lost people too. And you could see Clea kind of awakens as the episode's ending, and she cracks a little bit of a smile when she's out there seeing the rebels train with Melshi running pow through the jungle. So yeah, I think she's getting there, and maybe she is the radio operator at Echo Base. You never know now. All that's open to interpretation, but I am glad that she lived. You know what, Nick? You and I always wanting people to die. I think Tony showed us that if you write things correctly, they technically don't have to, and it still works. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, a lot of these people, like Clea, would never be a big enough part of the rebellion.
They did their work, right? I mean,
she
put in her 10,000 hours already. Now it's time for her to kind of be on the sidelines, just like Vel. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not for you to know from the, you know, original movies, or they don't have to have a role that was large enough for you for them to be like a missing piece of what comes after it.
Right.
So it worked out perfectly for the ones that survived, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Luthen had to go in one way or another, just because he's too big of a figurehead, disenfranchisement or not. Like, they had to figure him out. But I think that, you know, Willman surviving, Clea surviving, Vel, all that in the end makes sense. B2 survived, that makes sense. So love it. That's why we're pretty much sitting here giving this show a virtual BJ. All right. Next top moment here, we're finally getting into some of the action stuff, and of course our boy K2 was involved. It was one of probably his biggest moment of the season, really. I was surprised that in this last arc, that I'm glad they did it, because I do think episode 10 was fantastic for kind of putting an endpoint on Luthen and Clea and explaining exactly who they were and why they were where they were at when we first met them. So we only really got, you know, 2 shots with K2S. So, I mean, the card game was pretty hilarious. That was fun. You got to remember, these two were together for a year. So, I mean, K2 and Cassian definitely had developed their bond by now. But his save on Coruscant was pretty freaking fantastic. I mean, from the moment he realizes that he is going to have to do something, he just starts going around and indiscriminately murdering Imperials and telling them he's going to do so. I like... The first guy's like, hey, man, you're not supposed to be here. And K2's like, I know. Just like punches him over a bridge.
It just flies off.
I just,
great.
But then when he actually gets to the safe house and he's in he like donkey punches the one guy and Spartan kicks the other. He gets up to the hallway, goes right up to Heert, and just like, okay, man, shoot all you want, breaks his neck, holds him as a meat shield, a literal meat shield, waving him around like a rag doll as the other guy's lighting him up. The camera cuts away. You see the other guy get thrown into the wall, and then he just shows up and very matter-of-factly goes to Cassian, Melshi, and Clay like, hey, I've just cleared a path. It's like,
Yeah.
I explained it in my review. It's like, you know, a son just got done doing some yard work and is all proud of himself and is telling his dad like, hey, man, I did that job you asked me to do. Are you proud of me?
Yeah.
So I think this was a fantastic K2 moment, one of his best. It was funny. It was powerful. You get to see just how deadly these damn KX droids really were. And it's going to be hard for me to get the Heert ragdoll imagery out of my mind. It's some of the more graphic violence, if you think about it, performed on a human in Star Wars that we've ever seen.
Yeah, that was brutal. Like that, like when I saw that, like he first picked him up, I was like, okay, that's pretty wild. Like, but then when they showed him like face first dead,
yeah,
and he's just holding, I was like, dude, that's the most that's like some Punisher level shit. Like it's not as bloody, but like that's some shit that you would see in like Netflix, Daredevil, Marvel stuff, where it's like, damn, yo, like that's definitely the most graphic violence that we've probably seen in Star Wars in terms of like disturbingness.
He's fully ragdolling too. Like he has no structure because he's dead. He has no structure left in his body. It's just like.
Yeah, dude, it is fucking wild. So yeah, that whole scene was crazy. I mean, Alan Tudyk plays that character so well, just in terms of how he how he voices him.
It's such a straight delivery. It's such a straight delivery, but it's not. It doesn't sound like a robot. I know that doesn't make sense, but hopefully it does. Cause
it's like the perfect mix of robotic comedy that just comes across so like everything he says with a level of sincerity where you're like, it's a droid, so he doesn't know that there is a level of like, he doesn't understand sarcasm or like subversiveness or stuff like that. Like he can only act in a way that is very, very honest to what he is doing. And it just works out so well. Like the creation of that character as a whole from Rogue One in the beginning to where he is now is just fantastic.
Yeah, I dig it. I mean, listen, we'd all would sit there and be like, yeah, we would have liked more. But if you think about what we got there, how their meeting went down on Gorman and all the horrific shit K2 did there. You know, we learn here, I'll talk about in our references, that he was there for Empire Day, marching for Palpatine. I mean, it's just, he's a great character, man. I mean, you know, we did our droids episode many weeks, months back at this point in time, and I think we rated him S tier, and he definitely remains at that level. Okay, another top moment we got from this excellent finale arc of Andor here. This man Bail, when he's the reason that Mon got the fuck out of the Senate, especially because your team got compromised, you piece of shit. And then, you know, Cassian just very forcefully reminding everyone that without the work of Luthen and some of the missions that Cassian did with Luthen, and then obviously Clay's involvement, that none of these fucking figureheads would be sitting here right now. There would be no Rebel Alliance. There would be no amassing of troops on Yavin. And I'm glad he reminded them, because it was starting to get a little annoying listening to. I'll be honest with you, and I think I dropped this in the Discord last night. For the first time ever, they found a way to have me hate the character of Bail Organa. I mean, he's such like an honorable Dudley Do-Right, but the way he was shit talking Luthen and discounting Cassian's. The validity of the words Cassian was speaking and grounding him is just like, you know what? Fuck you, Bail. What have you done?
Yeah.
What have you done but, you know, make a few speeches in the Senate and maybe move some money here or there? You haven't done even remotely as much as Mon Mothma. Definitely not Luthen.
Saved Yoda's life.
Hey, what's that green lazy asshole doing? He's doing nothing. He's sitting on Dagobah playing with himself.
Just saying. I will say that I found that to be relatively out of character for Bail, at least as we've seen him before.
Now, they're bringing it up in the chat and in Discord last night too, Nick, so I'll ask you, do you think if Jimmy was still playing the character, it would have hit differently
I think
or
that
do you think
Jimmy.
Brat kind of ratcheted up too much?
Here's what I'll say. I don't think it's who. I think the only reason that it may have been different with Jimmy is because Jimmy knows the character better. Jimmy's been playing that character since 2003 or whatever, like since AOTC, and he has a better read on that character. So what essentially happened is this is how the episode writers wanted to write him, and they didn't have an actor who had the knowledge of the character to push back against how he was written. Like, and I think that if Jimmy was there, he would have been like, I don't know if this is necessarily in character for Bale, because I found that to be relatively out of character for him. And obviously, Bale is not a character that has a ton of screen time, but you've seen how he acts, and you've seen his interactions with other rebels. You've seen his interactions. Like, he was one of the ones in Rogue One to be like, let him go. Like, he wasn't one of the ones to be like, you got to fucking stay your ass here. You can't go out there and do that. Like, I found that interaction to be relatively out of character for what we've seen from Bale. And I think it was mostly that they didn't have Jimmy there to be like, this is probably not this, like, how he would probably stand on this. If anything, the better person to do that was Draven, because Draven's been doing that the whole time. Like, Draven has been shit talking Cassian for wanting to leave, has been like trying to put clamps down on everything.
He also did not like Luthen.
Yeah, he didn't like Luthen either. So it felt weird that came from Bale. And I really think that if Jimmy was there, he would have been like, maybe it would have still went through, because I don't know how much input they take from actors in that writing room or in that writer's room. But it didn't feel like
Okay.
like
Well,
the Bale that Jimmy Smith.
I mean, dude, I know we're right. Look at Bale in Rogue One. Is he the main rebel leader? No. He's hanging back, just like nodding his head. Look at his position here. He's at the head of the fucking table. Who's the leader of the Rebel Alliance? Not Bail Organa. It's Mon Mothma.
It was a bit weird. Like, that interaction was a bit weird to me.
Okay, all right. But I like I said, I did like the scene mostly because of the venom Cassian was spitting, but it gave us fans deeper insights into, like, you know, the rebels were kind of just as fucking stupid as the Empire, where they wouldn't believe each other, or that there was some infighting going on here. Some people wanted to believe Cassian, others did not. And it just fleshes out more of why, when we meet them in Rogue One, that they're all sitting around like, oh, I don't know if we should do anything about all this news about a Death Star. We're just a little tiny rebel force. We'll get killed. No, veto the Scarif mission. Yeah, so you kind of see why they're a bunch of Debbie Downers, and this scene just extended that.
Feeds into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Next top moment from this episode. Last one here, and then we'll get into eggs and references, and then kind of put this breakdown to bed. But I teased it earlier. I thought the end to this episode was absolutely killer. I know it wasn't. It was kind of montagey, but not super quick cutty. But it really just starts Cassian gearing up with his kit that we see him in Rogue One when he's on Kafrene. I mean, from top to bottom, and then just kind of cut around to all the main players of Andor and Rogue One. We got Melshi training, Pow in the Force. I can't believe we got this, but I'll take it. We got some closure on Perrin. Perrin has hooked up with Skaldune's wife, and he still looks fucking absolutely miserable. But again, closure.
Yeah.
All right, it goes to Dedra. We learn she has been shipped to Narkina 5, the same prison Cassian was at, and there's a good chance, since we didn't see the eye in the Death Star yet, she is helping to contribute to building the damn thing that essentially got her locked up in the first place. It continues on. Cassian's walking through. He's looking at everyone. It's giving us time to reflect on his journey and everyone else's journey in Andor. And who does he see together? Well, we got Mon Mothma and Vel. That's awesome to know that Vel was there with Mon on Yavin to kind of help her through all this shit. We get a shot of Saul staring out that broken window that we last see him in Rogue One before his castle blows up. Then it goes to Krennic, who is staring lovingly at his creation. It shifts over to Cassian and K2 getting ready to take off, and then we get the end where we get confirmation that Bix has gone back to Mina Rao. She's right back on the farm that they all escaped to at the beginning of the season. B2 seemingly has a partner, if not a girlfriend. And then we get the big drop, the one I told you was coming, the end to the series, providing hope. Bix and baby Andor staring into the horizon, creating a parallel to the end of Cassian's journey in Rogue One, when he and Jin stare at the horizon and then turn away as it comes to incinerate their flesh and bones. It was one of the best kind of closing series montages out there. It helped to close out Andor while also ushering us right into Rogue One. I mean, you could watch this little 3-minute montage, hit play on Rogue One, and be like, hot damn, was that a perfect lead in?
Yeah. It really wrapped up all of the little stories that you wanted to know about, and it sets everything in motion perfectly going into Rogue One. I mean, the series overall from season 1 to season 2 did a really good job of painting the picture and getting us to where we needed to be for Rogue One into A New Hope, and having a better appreciation for the rebellion as a whole. I think that overall everybody like understood what the mission of the rebellion was, but never really understood what was done to get to the point to where they could even think about making that trench run, or think about, deploying a force against the Empire anywhere in the galaxy. And now you really have an appreciation for what it took to get there.
Oh yeah,
and I think that this show did that fantastically.
Well, that's what I mean, Nick. I think now, I mean, Andor obviously perfectly leads into Rogue One, but it also has added more meat to A New Hope. I mean, it's like we almost have like a new quadrilogy. Andor S1, S2, Rogue One, A New Hope. It technically tells a story of the rise of the rebellion, the building of the Death Star, and then the destruction of it, and the rebellion's first major victory. I want to address this real quick with Bango. Remember when Bale's like, I want to go down swinging if we're going to fight the Empire? I actually thought Cassian kind of laughed at that, like, what sort of fighting is your, preppy senator ass gonna do? Again,
that just Bale at that end scene, I just didn't like it.
Yeah, like I actually thought
that character.
Yeah, I actually thought that line made him look silly in Cassian's eye and our eyes, because we know he didn't go down swinging for shit. He goes down getting vaporized on a fucking planet.
Yeah, I mean, like his whole planet gets blown up. That's a tough way to go for sure. Yeah. But like that version of Bale, like and it's not Benjamin Bratt's fault. Like, he just came in to fill in. Like, this dude's just here reading lines off a script. But like that Bale didn't jive with everything that you've ever seen from that character before then. Like, it didn't fit in terms of his character arc and progression and what you know of him. Yeah. So it was just, that whole thing was just weird with Bale. I wish it wouldn't have happened.
People are now calling for a Many Bothan show. You got to remember, the Many Bothans, they're the ones that got Death Star 2.
Episode 6, bro.
Yeah, they got Death Star 2, so we're good.
ROTJ. Maybe you can talk Tony into doing a in between an ESB and an ROTJ series that shows you the Many Bothans, how they got the Death Star 2 plans or some shit like that.
Cody Johns know my secret nickname was Fat Matt. That's pretty good. I don't know who Cody Johns is, but I definitely used to be Fat Matt. The Hollow Shape, welcome to the show. The Mandalorian and Baby Andor. Come on, Disney, give us what we really want. Yeah, for all you people out there, I know Bat, you're just fucking around here, but this is not Poe Dameron, okay? This little baby. I mean, that's taken care of in the comics. He literally, his dad is a fighter pilot in the rebellion. His last name is Dameron, and so is his mom. So I think we can we can kind of scratch that off the list. It's okay that
Oh, yeah,
Cassian's baby
it's,
doesn't become involved in the sequel trilogy or any of that shit. It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, I think that this kid would be too old to be Poe anyway.
No, Poe was
right?
born right during the Battle of Yavin, I believe. It was after.
Okay,
It might have been after or right around it.
yeah.
So what else we got here? Would you like to? Oh, Bat asking about Kino. What resolution do you need with Kino Loy? I mean, he's dead,
Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kino Lloyd decided to let the Empire kill him, or
Right.
maybe they got back to Narkina 5 and he was the only one there, so they were like, "Well, I guess we still have one prisoner to do work."
Yeah, I'm
Like,
pretty sure
Kino Lloyd's end was dumb because he could have at least gone out on his own terms.
No,
Like-
knowing how the Empire deals with anybody fucking their control or their systems of order up, I'm assuming any prisoner that did not jump off of that thing got executed the moment they showed up, like that night. So, yeah.
It's like, what? That was my whole point.
No,
was like,
Bat's just being a
what was
fucking
the
troll at this point. Yeah, there you go. I
yeah, I
knew
know,
it.
but
I
it's
knew
like-
he's just being a fucking troll. Okay, all right.
What's the expected end for him? Like,
Yeah,
it's like, that was my whole point.
It's
It
like
was-
we'll just leave it as the Frodo T-shirt. Frodo lives, right? It's the same thing. Kino lives. Okay, we don't know for
There you
sure,
go.
but he lives either on Valinor or within the Force. All right, we're not done yet. We got some eggs and references to get through, and then we'll be wrapping this breakdown up of the finale. Don't forget, we're not going to be here the next 2 weeks, but when we return, hopefully it's not too much time beyond Andor, because we are going to come back to it for one more live stream as we reevaluate our preseason predictions and fan ones. So we will not fully be done talking about Andor after this episode. Anyways, let's get into some of the Easter eggs here. I'll try to rip through these. Up first, and I caught this one luckily when I was taking screens today, but when Clea is getting her armory ready to go assassinate Lonnie, you can see Han Solo, or a very similar blaster to Han's, in her cabinet there. All right. We've got, and I think this is the first time we've heard it in the series, but when Luthen is passing the intel to Clea, we finally get the Galen Erso drop. All right.
Indeed.
I don't think he was mentioned in season 1 or prior to that. All right. When Dedra and Luthen are in there bullshitting each other, he picks up a Nautolan bleeder, which is 60,000 years old. And the reason it makes this list is because it is from the Nautolan species, the same species that Kit Fisto belongs to. And you can even see it on the hilt. You can kind of see their big black eyes and dreads. All right. This one I also picked up this morning as I was collecting screens, but the second flashback where they're at a artifact trader, Nick, Luthen gives him a Deveronian victory necklace, which apparently comes from the planet Deveron, which was heavily featured in the Clone Wars. All right.
Yes.
I'm sure the rest of you picked up on this right away. If not, you're definitely not as cool as me. But where Luthen and Clea pull off their first insurrectionist act against the Empire, it's Naboo. And I'm pretty sure it's up by Padme's lakeside retreat if you look at the surrounding landscapes there. So that was kind of cool. I think the point there was like, hey, if we're going to be in this rebellion, we got to be able to fit in with the highest of society and the lowest of society. So it's kind of them practicing their spycraft. You know what I mean? All right.
Yeah, makes sense.
Next one here. The hospital that Luthen is taken to on Coruscant, it has been translated to the Lena So Hospital. So it's named after the Chancellor of the High Republic.
There you go.
Okay, during the interrogation between Krennic and Miro, I'm pretty sure for the first time in Andor, we get the term Death Star, right? Krennic makes Miro say it, like, you know what you saw that's dangerous and why I'm here, and she's like, the Death Star. So I'm pretty sure that was a first there. This is kind of a deep cut, but in one of the cuts at the Yavin base while they're walking through the hangar, if you look closely, you can see a Treadwell droid. That's right, Treadwell droids. We saw them way back on the Lars family farm. Okay, moving right along with Easter eggs and references from the Andor Season 2 finale. Also at the Yavin base, if you're looking around, you noticed that Blue Squadron is still healthy and fully loaded. Lots of X-Wings with blue stripes are still there. Luckily, we get to see them now because we know we will never see them again once the Battle of Scarif takes place. The entire squadron gets eliminated.
Indeed.
All right, and then moving into episode 12. Oh, I'm sorry. Another one from episode 11. I said it earlier. But while they're getting ready to land on Coruscant and they're reflecting of who's been there and who's not, Melchi's never been there. We know Cassian has. And K2 lets us all know that he's definitely been there. In fact, he was in a parade that had the Emperor. So he was talking about the Emperor, the Empire Day parade that happened during the fall of the Republic.
I was just going to give one note here. It's wild to me that they did not wipe this dude's like K2's memory. Right. And they essentially, all they did was just like put a calming program in and just made him like chill and then made him loyal to like the rebellion. They let him keep all his memories, which is fucking crazy.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he kept all of his memories, but not the fact that he should be killing the people he lives with now. Like that's
exactly
that's the one
like
thing
they essentially like switched the allegiance flip from Empire to Rebellion, and like that was it. And then like they were like, okay, we also need to kind of give you a personality, so we'll put a personality chip in you. But it's wild to let him keep all his memories. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, hey, Rodrigo, welcome to the stream. We talked about that line earlier. I also thought that was great. The two fake relics
fake
in damn, the chat woke up here. Holy hell, Nick.
Yeah, Wyatt jumped in here. Nice to see Wyatt in here.
Yeah, if you see any good ones while I'm yapping on a tangent, let me know and I'll come back to them. But we always appreciate all you popping off in the live stream chat. Just lots going on today as we wrap up this breakdown and deep dive review of the Andor Season 2 finale. Okay, so moving into episode 12, it was kind of loaded with Rogue One references. All right, starting with the appearance of Admiral Raddus. So we get to see him kind of calling the shots as Cassian is coming in hot, as they explained. But he gives us another reference when he says, if Merrick was here, he'd shoot him right out of the goddamn sky. And he's talking about General Antok Merrick, who is the leader of Blue Squadron that we know perishes during the Battle of Scarif when he makes it inside the World Shield and starts fighting with the ground troops. Okay, another Rogue One reference here. The crew, the gang, the Rebel Council, they're all in their Rogue One outfits outside of Cassian at this point. So Draven, he's got his general badge on. You had Senator Palmo and Jabel wearing their shit. Bale was wearing his shit. Mon's wearing her shit. Raddus is wearing her shit. You got to remember, this episode, or really this arc, takes place like a day before Rogue One.
Yeah, essentially.
So,
yeah.
I mean, this is all real time. I mean, Cassian goes to Kafrene, comes back, and we're right into the events of Rogue One. So it was nice to see everyone getting ready for their Rogue One outfits. All right, other references in the final episode. And here you go, Bango. So the Partagaz suicide, and the reason it makes this reference list is because he himself was listening to Nemik's manifesto, which we learned through Partagaz has now become the mantra of the galaxy. And you could tell that it affects him. He even says, like, what do you think this means? And I don't really think the manifesto and Partagaz realizing that the manifesto has come true. They are in the midst of a galactic rebellion now. They pissed away the last 5 years by not focusing on it and just being the arrogant empire worrying about their Death Star. All their worry about that has now allowed the galaxy to rise up and actually form an alliance of rebels. So the reference here is Nemik's manifesto. But I do think Partagaz was just resigned to his fate in this moment. I think he knows the Empire fucked up. He knows the ISB is no longer going to have the power it once had because of how bad it fucked up everything with Luthen and all that shit. So he knows he's a dead man walking. So he listened to this thing one more time, said goodbye to Legret, and then, blows his brains out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nick, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the Bozo Bail, as we'll call this version here, he drops what I think is the first "May the Force be with you" in Andor. I know they say it in Rogue One, but I think it might have been the first time in Andor. Anybody?
I think they may have said it in season 1. I can't remember exactly, but for some reason I remember somebody on Ferrix saying it in season 1. I could be wrong though. I don't know if it was Marva or if it was somebody else. But
I'm sure someone will tell me I'm a big stupid idiot. So I'll just wait for the comments in case we get them. All right, moving right along. We got a few others. Hey, we're just talking about everyone else being in their Rogue One fit. There's Cassian. He's got the jacket, the shirt, the pants. No, he's not wearing his captain jacket yet. He doesn't slap that on until they get back from the Kafrene mission, possibly even the Jyn Erso breakout. Okay, next reference here. I mentioned him earlier, but Pal shows up. Look at that little guy. He's one of the aliens that becomes part of the Rogue One squad that goes to Scarif and sacrifices himself for the plans. We learned that Dedra is on Narkina 5, a nice callback to Season 1 and a story arc there for Cassian and Nick's favorite character, Kino Loy. We've identified the parallel between Bix looking to the horizon with hope and then Cassian and Jyn, I guess, looking to the horizon with hope as they know that their lives were about to be extinguished, but characters staring out to the horizon. Star Wars and its parallels coming through once again. And then finally, this one I'm sure most people did not catch, but if you stuck around for the credits, which I did because I was in Discord chatting and hoping we were going to get a stinger. But Nick, about, I don't know, it might be like 3 or 4 minutes into the credits, the music flips right into John Williams' Star Wars kind of, like the celebration theme, the song that plays at the end of A New Hope, where it's super positive, like bah, 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 that one, which was just like very Pavlonian when I wasn't expecting that. And as soon as I hear that, I was instantly like, oh fuck, yes, this is it. This is my Star Wars. It is transitioning right into my timeline, the OT, the greatest of all trilogies. So that was a nice way to kind of close out the eggs and references for Andor Season 2.
Indeed. And thank you, Rodrigo, for the donation. He says, the Force is with you. You are one with the Force. Going right to Rogue One.
All right, Rodrigo, we appreciate you, bro. Thank you for that. Thank you. All right, Nick, let me scan through this. I think we probably nailed everything, but you know me, I always write down some weird stuff. We'll just leave the image of parent, the drunk parent up there with his new lady love. As I look through this, we talked about how Lonnie was involved in the Death Star leak. Oh, the quote from Luthen one more time, I just thought it was fantastic to Dedra. The rebellion isn't here anymore. It flew away. It's everywhere now. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to disgust you. Because remember, she is disgusted by rebels and them wanting to break up the order. Luthen self, cool. His name is Sergeant Lear. We did that. White Death Troopers, we confirmed our ISB tactical units. Okay. Luthen and Clay, traitors since the get-go. Father and daughter when needed. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think we nailed it here. Willman makes it. He's the one that kind of had the secret radio to keep him in touch with the Luthen cell. He too did not like that Luthen was kind of looked at as a shithead on Yavin. Clay is lying to Cassian. Yeah, you know what? I didn't talk about this, but I did appreciate getting fully crazy Saul. To seem kind of similar to what we got in Rebels, but when they're all sitting around just trying to talk some sense into this guy, and he's got the full gear on now. He's got his breathing mask for his Rido addiction. But it was good to see him come into the fully nuts Saul. We were on the verge of it the last time we saw him stealing that gas, but here he is, the guy we met in Rogue One, and I think all of us were like, what the fuck, man? who is this Saul Guerrero? So
Yeah. Yeah. I
that
mean,
was kind
crazy.
of
So, I mean,
nice.
we knew we were getting there because of the scene with him and Willman when they're taking the Rido and breathing it in and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, we saw that coming. And it was great to get the reason. I mean, you kind of got the reason why they're like, we just can't fuck with this dude anymore. Like we finally understood that, like,
Yeah, he was screwing up the
there's
alliance.
yeah, like they're sending resources to this guy, and yeah, they're like sending people there to keep an eye on him and report back, spies, kind of, but they're also like, we're trying to help you, motherfucker. And like, you're the one, like, we're not trying to stop you. We're trying to just make sure that shit doesn't go wild, and like we can try to keep some sort of control over this. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. BMAT says, how do you feel about people that said Andor was boring and there's not enough aliens? I mean, I don't think that aliens has anything to do with it being boring or not. I think that the boring part of it is just like a personal, how people feel about it personally. I mean, but at this point in Star Wars, it doesn't matter what you make
Yeah,
or who
man,
makes
like
it. People are going to
it's
hate it. And so it
it's
is what it
hard to
is.
figure out that section of the fandom. Like what I, that they've just chosen, if it's from Disney, it's not good. They're not even going to allow their minds to try to parse it as being something worth watching. So it's useless. Who cares?
Yeah.
I
It's like
mean,
not even worth talking
to
about.
me, they're the MAGA wing of the fandom, and like anything MAGA, it's to me, it's not real life. It's like, okay, they're out there in left field somewhere. All right. I did find one thing I want to bring up real quickly, and I honestly don't think it tarnishes the series or the finale in one bit. But did you notice we got kind of out of nowhere a dream about his sister, the first touch into the sister since I believe what episode 2 of season 1?
Oh, geez. I really didn't even
Okay,
notice that.
when K2 wakes him up and then rats him out the bail, like, hey, that guy you hate is here. He wakes him
Oh,
up
yeah.
from a dream of him being back on that planet, and
Yeah,
his
that's
sister
true.
yelling out to Casa.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so I
Yeah.
was like, I sort of understand why they showed that. He still has that connection to his past, kind of like a lot of these characters in their broken past. But it was kind of like, oh, is that sort of a stumble? I mean, did they really even need to kind of force that in there? The fact that Nick didn't even pick up on it, it just proves that it really didn't matter in the end. So who cares? All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, there you go. That is our final breakdown of Andor Season 2. Hopefully, you learned something new or gave you something to consider. We'll be back in 2 weeks to do our final talk on Andor as we revisit our preseason fan wants, like what we wanted to see in this season, and then our predictions for what we thought was going to happen. And I'll tell you, I don't think our track record is going to be as great as Skeleton Crew, but I do think we had
Mhm.
some wins amongst the misses. But we're not done yet. Episode 356 is not over. We're going to round third here and bring it home with the fan segment. We do it every week. We do the question a week where we just need you to respond to and let us know what you thought about the question. What is on your mind? How did you feel about the Andor Season 2 finale? And then we'll fully wrap the show with Nick's tour of this week's Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. All right, Nick, let's get to
That's
those
right.
questions or question
That's right.
responses.
Question responses. Indeed. So the question was, what did you most enjoy about the Andor season 2 finale arc? So we got some responses here, starting with League of Extraordinary Sixers. Gilroy's chopping block surprised me. For the continuity of Rogue One into A New Hope, it gave me great comfort knowing that on Yavin, our Ferrix crew had someone to lean with them, or to lean on with them. Mon had Vel, her cousin who knew everything before, to help her with everything after. Vel, for a part of the time, has Cassian and Willman, not Wilmer, but it's okay. Willman partnered with Gorman Folk. Clea has Vel. All of this we know now. These characters are alive and helping the rebellion. I hope these characters live to see the Empire be crushed. Some of them probably did. Some of them probably didn't, but we'll see. We'll see if they ever make their way back into any Star Wars stuff after that. And then League also says we can all agree the music in Star Wars is its own character. Indeed, it is.
If you think about it, a lot of the people on Yavin probably don't make it because they got to evacuate the base immediately.
Yeah.
After the Death Star, and then once they get, they're bouncing around the galaxy, getting fucked up. They make it to
Hoth. To Echo Base.
Yeah, they're good for a little bit. Then once they're found out, that gets raised, and that's where the comics pick up. And the comics do make it pretty clear that their fleet is almost nearly decimated, and they're running out of units. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that most of the Yavin people, the random people we saw in the background of Andor season 2, are toast.
Probably so. Yeah. Phil says all 3 episodes were great, but my single favorite moment was a simple one when Luthen heard the doorbell ring. The look on his face said so much. Yeah, I mean he knew it was over. He knew it was over, and he went out doing what he did all of the other times. You know, he put on his smile, he put on his wig and his charm, and he went out the way that he had been, doing since he had got that shot. So it was very, very poignant end for Luthen's story there for sure.
Hey, real quick, Wyatt, I'm with you on your Luthen theory being an Imperial army trooper because, like I said, it felt very soon after the fall of the Republic, so the end of the Clone Wars, because you could hear Republic gunships zipping around in the background. So I'm with you, Wyatt, on that one. He was not an Imperial officer. He wasn't a stormtrooper. He was a sergeant. So that makes sense that he was in the army.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Planetary Security Force, maybe so. We don't really know. Clay, BMAT says Clay's hospital heist and flashbacks, so much tension in all the episodes. Yeah, I mean, these were for sure tension-filled. Next up, we have Baron's Black Series. Spencer says, seeing some fresh K2 bits, he was hilarious. I've been to Coruscant before. I was in a parade there once. The Emperor was there.
I know. Cassian is like, oh, that's a nice story, bud. He's like, thanks.
Yeah, he's just like, look, he truly treats him like a kid, which is great. Divided Skywalker, she says K2 eating that Imperial off the balcony. Indeed. That was like, again, I appreciate, like you brought up in Arc 3, Matt, that the droids, when they fuck people up in this show, those people actually get fucked up and don't just like bounce off of walls and run away.
The one guy, as he's entering the safe house, he just picks up and spikes like a basketball. Probably just smashes the back of his skull. So
yeah, like that dude his head is fully crushed.
Let me get B-Mad real quick again, asking when will you do an Andor and Rogue One marathon? It's probably going to be a year. I might try to slide it into my end of year full Star Wars rewatch that I do every single year around Christmas time. But I definitely am planning on throwing on Rogue One. Might even do that later tonight because I think that's the way to go. As soon as you finish Andor season 2, you just got to flick that movie on and see what happens. But I will at some point in my life do Andor S1 into S2 into Rogue One, and as Rodrigo is saying, right into A New Hope. We said it earlier. It's a new. I don't even think it's a word. It's a new quadrilogy. Okay.
Yeah.
Quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy.
What is it? Is there? Can you say
it's quadrilogy? It's quadrilogy.
All right.
Yeah, because I think that there's something has been described as a quadrilogy before, but I can't really remember what. I think it was Avengers, because it was Avengers 1, and then whatever the second one, Age of Ultron, and then Infinity War and Endgame. They call the quadrilogy.
Okay.
The quadrilogy.
I'll take
for
it,
Avengers.
Man. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so good stuff there. As far as like when I will do that, fuck knows. Like who knows? It may happen, it may not.
Nick's not as insane as some of us other fanboys and girls. So
like I've watched a lot of Star Wars in my life, but I don't typically now have time to like watch them all.
He's on to the new. He's on to the new. Ask him when the last time he's watched a prequel movie.
We
had a decade at this point. decade?
No, it hasn't been that long. It's probably been 3 or 4 years since I watched
Ugh.
a sequel trilogy
You know how
movie
Disney
or a
Plus
prequel trilogy movie all
just
the way
has
through.
like those live channels now? You know, they'll just play
Mhm.
shit on them 24/7. Last night it was on Attack of the Clones, so I
Yeah,
popped it
yeah.
on real quick. I was like, oh, there we go.
Yeah. See, like we're just not a household that has like we don't put the TV on until 8 p.m. Like the TV is just not on at our house until 8 p.m. And then Taylor goes to sleep at 10:30, 10 like
And
10
that's when Nick,
10:30.
and that's when the fun begins for Nick.
Yeah, and then I got an hour and a half of TV time or video game time by myself before I go to sleep. So just not a lot of TV stuff happening, honestly. Anyway, we're a little bit over here. We know. We're gonna get into the top 5 Star Wars fan arts features of the week right now, and then we're gonna close this mother out. So to get involved in the top 5, make sure to follow us on Instagram at StarWarsTime.show and tag us, add tag at StarWarsTime.show and all of your Star Wars Instagram posts. That is how you get into the tag feed where I pull the top 5 from. So to kick off the top 5, we have a brand new top fiver. This is Kalhan, Kalhaaan on the Instagram. And guess what? He's given us a look at the beginning of A New Hope, the end of the Andor quadrilogy. We see Vader walking down what looks like the White Hall of the Tantive 4, flanked by his stormtrooper buddies, right after they wiped out all those rebellion soldiers that were trying to protect Leia and the Death Star plans. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think he's on the Death
awesome
Star,
shot
at
here.
least according to where Calhan tagged it. But either way, it doesn't matter.
Oh,
I mean, it's Darth
okay.
Vader, flanked by some ding dongs, making him look extra rad. We love you, Vader, and speak your name,
Yeah.
Cal Han, on
Cal
Instagram.
Han on Instagram. Yeah, he tagged Death Star. It looks like Tanda 4, and he quoted when he was on Bespin, "We would be honored if you joined us." So this motherfucker's all over the place.
Yeah, it works.
But good shot here, Cal Han.
Look who returned to tagging, Nick.
Indeed, yes.
Right? I haven't seen visual approach tagging. I think since we lost our main account almost 2 years ago.
He found us. They found us again. Visual approach tagging and giving us an awesome shot here of the Buckethead stormtroopers walking in step with their AT-ATs in front of them. I mean, this shot. This shot's just fucking awesome. I mean, the Dio setup, the scale. I love the scale that he achieved on the AT-AT itself, like showing how big that thing is. And the shot itself is just clean as hell.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look, he built like that mountain is something he built. Like everything here outside of the backdrop, which is it looks like a just a massive printout of sky. Sean built, and he's doing all sorts of forced perspective. It looks like he's got the 1/16 scale. He's got 1/12 scale. That must be a model of an AT-AT. It's a work of art. I mean, look at that thing.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it's good to see him pop up again. I mean, honestly, I don't know what's happened with you and I with the big toy photographers, but we were pretty much a forgotten entity. So it was nice to be recognized again by an OG.
Yeah, we still got some of them out there. We still got 97. We still got Sir Dork. Now we got visual approach back under the belt. We got some, we got press pause. We got press pause.
No, he doesn't even tag us anymore.
Connor doesn't tag us anymore either.
Nope. I've seen him drop a few new things, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck these people. If you're not going to tag us, then we're not going to recognize your shit anymore because I'm over it. Beyond the Dune Sea, I don't know. They've grown beyond the Star Wars time show. I'll just leave it at that.
There we go. So
I'm not getting a lot of responses anymore from people that used to need a lot of my knowledge, and now I get nothing in return. But that's how the Star Wars time show is. We're the redheaded stepchild of this community.
There we go. Next up, we have Shoot Me 91, CHUTE_MI 91, and what they're giving us is a Sith Brothers. So they remade the Step Brothers.
Johnny, you asshole.
So good stuff. I mean, basically remade the Step Brothers poster with the Sith Brothers, aka Darth Maul and Sauvage Opress. I love the posing here, especially on Maul with his little tilted head, both of them with their sabers ignited
Oh
and
yeah.
out. Just excellent work here from Shoot Me 91. Love it. Love it.
The league nailed
Good.
it. I want that. That should be our new saying, or we should put that on a T-shirt. SWTS is the Luthans of the tube. 100%. Thank you,
Without
league.
without us, none of this would exist, but nobody wants to play with us anymore.
Oh, so good.
That's
No,
just,
man, this Savage
it.
figure, I'm not going to lie. If I stumbled on this dude in the wild, even though I don't really collect 116 anymore, I would grab him because he looks great. Savage has
I've
always
seen
been...
it around a lot.
Okay. Well,
I've seen it around a lot.
Well, then don't buy
Yeah.
it for me. all
No,
right?
not like buying, not like in stores.
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen
I was
people
like, damn,
tag
Nick,
us in.
you actually live
with this shot
around
a
real
lot.
toy stores in Texas? Holy shit.
No, yeah.
No, he
I've
looks
seen-
cool.
I've,
He looks cool.
yeah, seen a lot of good stuff from it. So good stuff there from Shoot Me or Shoot Me 91 CHUTE_MI91. Next up we have Corellian Smuggler 2266, and this is showing some clone boys on the battlefield going through a rough time. You see one of them down and the other one sitting there, just essentially seeing him out of this world in his lap. Excellent shot, excellent atmospheric smoke in the background. Bokeh. This looks like a real wartime shot here from Corellian Smuggler 2266. So beautiful.
Nick, I just got the
there.
coming soon HBO Max email, and it's as fucking dumb as I expected.
It's coming soon, the name that we had 2 years ago.
Because some dick face in the C-suite was probably the one like, let's call it Max. And they spent probably millions of dollars to rebrand. And that same dickhead probably was in charge of them losing money over the year, yet still gave him or herself a $50 million bonus.
Yeah, hopefully that person got fired, because everybody, as soon as that happened, said, why the fuck would you do this? This is stupid. But hey, sometimes hopefully dumb people get what they deserve. And that person no longer works where he works anymore, because that was a really bad decision.
Hey, Erwin Curtis, sorry, you're probably in the wrong Star Wars live stream then. We do market not for kids, so yeah, you're going to hear some adult words in the way real people speak on this show. Sorry.
That's why we are the Star Wars podcast for a more uncivilized age.
Exactly.
Erwin,
we need one of those disclaimers like the McAfee show puts up before they go on. Like, hey, we're a bunch of idiots. We're going to say stupid stuff. Don't sue us. And we talk the way normal people talk. Thank you. But yeah, Corellian Smuggler, a noob, right? Or at least new to us.
I think this is a new top fiver. Yes, indeed. And then to close out the top five, we have Kill Cutter Photo. Kill Cutter always putting out good work. And what they've done here is they've given us an alternate look at the cantina scene in A New Hope when Obi-Wan Kenobi cuts off the arm of the Aqualish Ponda Baba. And I mean, it's a cool shot. I mean, you got Kenobi there with his lightsaber ignited. And you see the patrons of the cantina in the background.
Whole new perspective.
Chewbacca there, Luke there, everybody there. New perspective, fun shot. And then you get the close-ups if you scroll through, and the look behind the scenes at Kill Cutter's setup. So
yeah, Erwin actually thinks people listen to our show. Don't worry. We don't even have adults listening to this show. So there's no kids listening. And if there's kids listening, guess what? That's their parents' problem, not ours.
So that's good stuff there from Kill Cutter at Kill Cutter Photo on Instagram. That is the end of the top five, and that's the end of our show for this week. So Matt, go ahead and close us out and send us off into our 2-week break.
All right, that is right. I am kind of excited for that. I'm not gonna lie though, I am gonna miss. I always like talking to Nick, but even more so, I like this little community we have here. It's a tiny one, but it's an active one, an enjoyable one. So we speak all your names. Great seeing all of the diehards in the live stream today, helping us break down the Andor Season 2 finale. Like Nick just said, we are going to be off the air for the next 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks. So we will be returning. Hold on here. Let me do the math. I'll count some fingers, count some toes. Our next live should be June 4th. Is that correct, Nick? Am I looking at the calendar correctly? Yeah, it looks like...
June 4th.
Yeah, June 4. So we'll be coming back to Andor Season 2 one more time to go through our post-game episode that we always do. We always pre-game for a Star Wars show, and then when we do a post-game report out to punch that thing out once and for all. So when we come back on June 4, we'll still be talking Andor. I'm sure because it's going to be 2 weeks, there's going to be a bunch of other Star Wars stuff and life stuff to talk about. So start thinking about those Ask Us Anything questions and get ready for the question of the week when we return to the air the week of June 2nd. In between now and then, though, do not forget us. Keep us in your hearts for a while. We'll be putting that content out. Nick will be clipping up this episode and popping them out over the next few weeks. We've got clips coming from old episodes, custom content, all the way through the end of July. So there truly is always time for Star Wars times. Or time. And if you do listen to our show, I'm going to miss you all. But that Force will be with you. Always.